What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you. We are, of course, talking about Tropical Storm Melissa. That's going to take a lot of our time tonight as we kind of break down what's going on with the storm. It was freshly named earlier this afternoon, or earlier this morning, I guess. 11 o'clock, it was officially named. It reached all of its characteristics to close off and become tropical in nature. So we have that. So we're going to obviously talk about that portion of the show. We are also going to be talking about that cold front. It's going to be coming through Wednesday into Thursday, earlier for the Panhandle, of course, later for Southeast Florida. It's not really going to drop our temperatures too much, but nonetheless, we are going to be dealing with, or we are going to be watching, so I'm trying to clear my screen here. We are going to be watching for some drier air to work its way back in to Central Florida. I have to do a quick thing real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so as we move forward, we're going to be talking a lot about Melissa, of course, and we can break that down first. I just want to show you where Melissa is at this time. And you see just kind of spinning here, 8 o'clock advisory. We'll get one every few hours now because the Hurricane Center does have watches out for Jamaica and for Haiti tonight. It is very unorganized at this time. And what I mean by that is you see these two kind of clusters of thunderstorms. We have a flare up on the left side of your screen, a flare up on the right side of your screen. One of those is associated with its low level center. That's what characterizes this thing as tropical. And the other one to the right of your screen is the thunderstorms associated with its mid level center. So a couple of different things going on. And when they are not co-located like that, it's not going to strengthen. There's evidence of some pretty significant wind shear on the storm, and I think that's going to keep it weak over the next couple of days. So I wanted to just show you what Melissa was doing out here first and foremost, and then we're going to come back to this in a big way. I'll show you the track coming up. We're going to get a new one of those at 11 o'clock. By the way, tune in News 6 at 11 and on the TV side of things, and we're going to have that latest track for you. I really think for Florida's concern is if you're going on a cruise to the Caribbean or the Southwest Atlantic. That is where that is where um that is where we're watching for the potential for the biggest impacts with this. High temperatures tomorrow back in the lower 80s in Tallahassee, mid 80s still in Orlando. We're back to the upper 80s in Tampa. Pensacola, we're going to be right around where we should be this time of the year, back to the upper 70s. Showing you that front coming through. There's Wednesday afternoon. You see the blue arrows coming down? That is where the cooler, drier air is going to be working its way back down into Central Florida. High pressure then builds, and that brings our sunshine back. So I really think Thursday, Friday into the start of the weekend is going to be nice. And then I think we try to get some humidity back in here a little bit as we move through the day on Saturday into Sunday. So that's one of the things that we are watching for by the end of this weekend is that we're going to be dealing with a little bit more humidity. I still don't think midsummer-like humidity or anything like that. Okay, lot to talk about. I want to leave you first and foremost with the track of Melissa. This is going to be the official track from the National Hurricane Center. And you're going to see all the kind of the days kind of jumble up on top of each other because it's not going to move much. Basically, the cone is a giant circle tonight. because it's going to just meander there and just spin for days, likely somewhere in between Jamaica and Haiti and southern Cuba. We have to figure out where that happens, because if it stalls over land, that's no good. If it stalls over the water, that's what we would like for it to happen. Of course, not impacting any kind of land, but when you get storms in the Caribbean, unfortunately, that's what happens. It has nowhere to go except to impact land to some degree. So that is the 8 o'clock advisory. A new track comes out at 11 o'clock tonight. You see that they're right under where it says Tropical Storm Melissa. We will see that tonight at 11. And join us, News 6 at 11. We're going to have that latest data for you when it comes to the new track from the National Hurricane Center. All right, I have to get my first break in tonight. This is the track through Sunday, but where does it go after that? There is a giant fork in the road. We're going to break down the scenarios where it goes after it gets into the Caribbean coming up in just 3 minutes. I'll see you guys soon. What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you. Of course, we are talking a lot about Tropical Storm Melissa. There is the storm itself. No, I don't think this is going to be the worst storm that we've ever seen. We have seen storms stall in the Caribbean before many times, so it's not like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I'm not saying it's not going to be good, because if it stalls over land, there's going to be a ton of rain over mountainous terrain. So that's one of the things we're watching. But no, we've seen it. We've seen things happen like this before, where they stall, because and the Caribbean is a popular place for that to happen, because when the trade winds kind of shut off a little bit, and all of that stuff, will continue. So just keep that in mind that we are watching for some pretty big impacts to parts of the Caribbean. But all that stuff. Okay. Tropical models. These are the spaghetti models. These have the first round of Hurricane Hunter data in them, and you see what happens. So I told you this last night that we would likely see a shift to the west in the models. Everything had a quick exit towards Hispaniola yesterday. Now we're seeing everything shift back to the west because now that we actually have ground truth of the storm being very weak, it's going to go further west. And that's exactly what we're seeing. You see the official forecast there in white. The TV Con is one of the best consensus models that we have out there. Has it taking it slowly towards Jamaica and then working its way back towards eastern Cuba. So I think that right now, that is one of the most likely scenarios is where it kind of meanders around Jamaica. They get a lot of very heavy rainfall, and then maybe the southwest tip of Haiti gets a lot of rainfall, and then the eastern side of Cuba gets a lot of rainfall. I think that's where we're talking about the biggest impacts right now. Before we get into some of the fork in the road, I wanted to show you this. I drew this yesterday and everything still holds. This is my own personal quote unquote tropical threat index. So if you see you're in the yellow there, you have a low opportunity for any kind of impacts from this storm. If it's medium, you have a medium shot of impacts from this tropical system. And then the red color, that's going to be from central Cuba to Jamaica to the Cayman Islands to Turks and Caicos to Haiti and parts of the Dominican Republic. That is where we have a pretty high chance that there are some impacts from Melissa when it comes to this storm. So this is the fork in the road that I was alluding to. This what we're looking at now are the European ensembles. It looks like a big plate of spaghetti. I know. And maybe to the untrained eye, what are we looking at here? But this does tell a story. So, a couple of things here as we break down what's going on with the ensemble. So, anything you see kind of going up towards the Dominican Republic and into Haiti, that is where the storm ensembles would suggest that it gets strong fast, which it's not. So it's allowed to feel the upper level flow. It gets tugged north and then exits to the northeast. But you see all these lines out toward Jamaica and then Cuba and then back to parts of the Bahamas. That's if the storm stays on the weaker side. It kind of sneaks under the upper level flow a little bit. And then eventually a big dip in the jet stream comes, lifts it up out of the Caribbean, and then sends it to the north and east. I am favoring tracks that take the storm to the west because it is going to be battling shear. And I do think it's going to have the option to get a little bit further to the west than what the computer models show right now, at least the ones that I just showed you. So just keep that in mind that I do think we're going to see westward shifts further when we're talking about this storm, Melissa. To put that graphically speaking to an actual model, what we're looking at here is the upper level pattern. This is the European model. Right down in here, this little donut hole, that is where we have Melissa, okay? Couple of things in play here. Upper low over the Great Lakes and high pressure over Mexico. That high pressure over Mexico, it's kind of has its appendage over the Gulf. It comes over Cuba. You see how it kind of that line there works its way over? That's what's going to help to push this back down and just kind of keep it there. The steering current kind of drops out just a little bit. So as that happens, you see it kind of bounces around, and then finally we have this big dip in the jet stream coming through, and that's eventually going to pull it up. It's going to feel that tug and then eventually take it up and out. But this thing also protects Florida. That upper low right there protects Florida because it should sweep it on out. If for whatever reason, this thing becomes negatively tilted, So the trough right now, you see how the lines are oriented from about Atlanta, then they go off the Outer Banks. If for whatever reason this thing's become negative tilted and we have the lines oriented from Atlanta to St. Louis, then um then we have a bigger issue with getting it closer to the United States. That is way out of the realm of possibilities right now. It's on the very, very low end. So okay, Hurricane Aaron didn't hit us. Um, so Hurricane Aaron did not hit us, at least in this cycle. I think way back before, but yeah, the faster Aaron develops, the more likely she'll go north. Even though if it's a slow development, this dip in the jet stream protects the Gulf. So there are a couple of things closing the Gulf right now. Um, couple of things closing the Gulf. I think no better thing illustrates this more than the Google DeepMind. The storm stalling, it just means that for us that we're going to be talking about it for a lot longer. But typically when a storm stalls, it is there until another storm kind of kicks it out. So I'll give an example of Dorian from 2019. Remember the forecasts had Dorian coming into the southeast corner of Florida, right through central Florida. It was going to be a terrible, terrible hurricane for the state of Florida. But then, as we got better data from hurricane hunter missions, models started to suggest, okay, this thing is going to stall for several days. And it did. That was one thing that wasn't modeled properly. It wasn't caught on properly in the early days of the forecast. When it came to Dorian, it looked like it was going to be progressive and coming to Florida. But what happened was after we got that data, it showed the stall, and then it was basically there until another bigger weather system could move it. And that's what's going to happen here. So if it stalls in the Caribbean, it's just going to be there until something can kick it on out of here. And that's what this big dip in the jet stream, my L's need to be changed. That was an update in the model. So my L's are in the wrong spot. So this L should be up here. A lot of squiggly lines. I'm fixing this in real time. And then that L should be up there. That dip in the jet stream, by the way, that could give a real nice cool down to start November, maybe even in time for Halloween. So it might feel festive around these parts. We'll have to wait for the timing of that, but it does look like some pretty chilly air is going to sneak into Florida either at the end of this month at the earliest or maybe first couple of days of November. Dorian Elizabeth was 2019. Alrighty, I have to get my second break in. Coming back, Kelly, I'll answer that question when we get back on the other side of the break if you stick with us. And I'll also show you what one of the more accurate models for the 2025 hurricane season is saying when it comes to maybe Hurricane Melissa. Right now, Tropical Storm Melissa. I'll see you guys in 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, a lot of good questions in the chat. Really appreciate all of that. Let's see here. Have any of the models been remotely accurate? So the one that has done very good this year, very well this year, has been the Google AI DeepMind Ensemble. So this is the AI model now, and why we like the AI models and what they can bring to the table is one of the things they do is use current observations, and then they go back in their data bank, and then they look at the atmosphere and see if it was similar, and then it kind of spits out its interpretation of that. So that black line there, that is what the Google DeepMind AI thinks is going to happen. This did very well with Imelda. This did very well with Invest 91L. It never developed it, like unlike other models. You see that black line there? That's the mean of all the other little lines that you see kind of garbled up in there. But it does have a slow go of things in between Haiti and Jamaica, and then that hook back off from Jamaica into Cuba into the Turks and Caicos. So that model has done great, relatively speaking, this year. Let's see. Let's see here. Yep. No, you're right about yeah, Nicole messed up the beaches after yeah, I kind of finished unfortunately what Ian started there after Ian just destroyed the infrastructure to protect anything. Um no, Hurricane Ian did not. Hurricane Ian kind of flared up quick and then worked up. Ian was expected to hit Florida just a little bit further to the north. There was the shift back down, but Ian was always going to be a Florida storm, even from its birth in the Central Caribbean. Um, this is a tough question. Rodney's asking, do I think it's going to become a major hurricane? Like my gut is telling me no, because it's going to be battling shear the next few days. If it can get itself over here, like if it finds itself west of Jamaica, then yes. If it kind of meanders over here, it's going to be getting beaten up by a little bit of shear, and that's going to kind of knock it around a little bit and prevent it, even with the water being so warm. Like right now, it's not looking healthy. Now, it doesn't matter. Remember, we always talk about each storm is different, each has its own personality. That doesn't matter if it drops for impacts, if it drops feet of rain on Jamaica or eastern Cuba or western Haiti. So even if it's a tropical storm, even if it's only a category 1 storm, again, I always hate the only, that's why I do the air quotes. It's going to be a significant storm for wherever this meanders. And right now, I think the highest impacts come to western Haiti, unfortunately, Jamaica, and then Eastern Caribbean, Eastern Cuba in the Caribbean. So that's what I have for you right now. It's going to be interesting to overnight. I think overnight we get in a few more. Tomorrow we get that too. Oh yeah, Kelly, thank you for that. No, the warm water temperatures have nothing to do with the steering. So it has so the warm waters won't have anything to do with the steering. It's more about the upper level pattern if it's strong, and then lower level pattern if it's on the weaker side. So yeah, so the warm water temperature, all that's going to do, it's going to feed it, but it's not going to steer it. If that makes sense. Alrighty, guys. I really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you a ton for being here. We're going to go a little more in depth tomorrow. We're going to have much better data still. Again, I think Florida is looking good with this one, meaning that it's not coming here. I think it's going to stay to our east, but it's going to be really, really nasty for the Caribbean. We're going to look at more models tomorrow, as with each passing day and we get more Hurricane Hunter runs in these things, they're going to become more reliable. So now's the time to really kind of look at things and see what happens with them. But again, I am very cautiously optimistic that there are no direct impacts to Florida. Rip currents, beaches, things like that, that remains to be seen depending upon where this ejects out of the Caribbean. But that's what I am thinking at this present time. Alrighty, guys, really appreciate you being here. If this is your first time seeing the show, we're here every Monday through Friday at 9:30. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Again, I really appreciate you guys tuning in as we hopefully track the last thing of the 2025 hurricane season. I don't see much else out there, but we're going to break that down further tomorrow. Come with questions. Would love to know where you guys are tuning in from. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us as we shoot the breeze about the weather every Monday through Friday, 9:30, New 6 Plus, and on the New 6 Plus YouTube page. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in a couple of minutes. New 6 at 10 live on New 6 Plus and on the New 6 YouTube page. Thanks, guys.